My next claim is that we live under a matriarchy, not a patriarchy.
We live under a matriarchy?
Children are wonderful and beautiful and spiritually divine creatures. I mean, they're amazing. There's everything about having a child. Yes, it's a lot of work. It's beautiful.
Would you not agree that that women can both have a career and have children? I mean, you are actively doing that right now.
Yeah, I want to be. She got her on that one. Let's go.
Very clear, because I am actively doing it right now. I would be someone that you would call an exception because I get to work from home. I get to wake up.
Oh, so you get to be the exception. Oh my gosh, please. Rules for thee, but not for me. Kind of shit here. Great. Thanks, Candace.
You want to be working, which is great.
You're telling me what I want now and then accusing me of telling you.
Wait, you don't want to work?
Look at what you're doing, dumbass. What the fuck? So Candance Owens went on to Jubilee to debate 20 feminists, and I haven't seen it because I know how fucking dumb she is, and I want to have a fully blind reaction to this. So I really don't have any kind of things to say before this. Let's just get straight into it and have some fun with this one.
My first claim is that the sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy.
What? The sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy? I would say a lot of other things have contributed to the lack of happiness in recent years, namely capitalism. Oh, I wonder what she has to say.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you? I'm Candace.
Nice to meet you. Julian, my pronouns are they, them. It's very interesting to think of
her face when she said that. She does not look happy.
I want to think about the gender binary. It's, how do we place value on human beings in general? So when we think about, placing value, that comes from a place of power, right? So I think let's select like the Victorian era. You have this dominant group of people coming from white supremacy, deciding who gets to.
Oh no. It's the typical eye pull stuff. I'm gonna say a really fucking hot take here. The moment anybody brings up white supremacy in these kinds of conversations super casually, I can tell they're probably going to be insufferable as shit. I generally stay away from these kinds of certain terms for a reason. This link to identity politics and all that stuff on the left is a massive reason. It's just like, there's some sort of insufferable force that you bring along with you the moment you start bringing up like the patriarchy and white supremacy and stuff like that. It's just like a buzzword that instantly clicks in my head. This person's probably going to be really hard to talk to.
No matter the gender. So when it comes to sexual revolution, let's look at one contribution is sex education. I'm actually an educator. I teach sociology and LGBTQ studies. And I have absolutely seen the positive outcome with the sexual revolution and sex education and seen people empower themselves. And with that comes safety when it comes to decreasing STIs, abuse, sexual assault. Again, people get to...
They are right about that. What sex education has been doing has been pretty positive, as far as I'm aware.
I guess I could just wrap it up by saying, like, if we all have access to, like, sex education through the incredible work of feminists through the sexual revolution, we are able to gain access to information and gain skills to create an equitable society, egalitarian, within our relationships, whether it be platonic or romantic. I'm so grateful for those feminists who have fought for us so we can gain those spaces and create a healthier society.
Okay, so there's a big issue that I don't like with this framing already. They're trying to frame their arguments within their framework and not at all thinking about how Candace is going to respond to those arguments from her own framework. It's going to be two clashing frameworks. People are probably going to be talking past each other and no mutual agreement will be found whatsoever because of that. Because everything that this person just said completely flies in the face of all the priorities that Candance Owens and conservatives have, which means none of these talking points are going to actually get through to them. They're just going to shut them down as like stereotypical progressive woke talking points or whatever, right? You have to frame it less through stereotypical buzzwords like white supremacy and more so possibly place a heavy emphasis on body autonomy in a certain sense, but you do have to phrase it in a certain way to be able to get through that barrier so you don't look like some sort of wacko pro-choice person at the same time. It definitely is like a balancing game when it comes to talking about this stuff with conservatives. I will say that for sure though.
So when it comes, as someone that teaches in the public sector, I understand the concern when it comes about what is a teacher, what kind of information they're providing to the students. I do believe that we as a teacher, I should be able to give that sort of information. Again, I teach college students. One of my claims is I believe that we should mandate sex education amongst college students. So yes, I do want the state, I would like the government to give us those resources so we can implement that curriculum.
Okay.
Obviously, I disagree with her. If you can see my necklace and by my background profile pic, I'm an anarchist, so absolutely horribly disagree with the concept of using the government for any of this stuff, especially considering, look at where the government is right now under Trump. That's the government you want to save you? It's not gonna work, sorry to say.
Name?
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Can we start with the beginning? Do you identify as a female?
I identify as a woman, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I do want to get back to your premise. You're saying that women have been devalued, right, by the sexual revolution. This kind of presumes two things. One, that there has been a loss of worth, right, for women. So you're saying
that's good.
Women have, as human beings, lost worth. Women who, prior to their sexual revolution, were worth more than women today.
I would say that
that is a good point to hang on because value is subjective. Who says they've been devalued? Who says they haven't increased in value? Because now they could do a lot more. Maybe they were considered restricted in value before because they were just nothing but traditional housewives who do nothing but chores and stuff like that, right? You can argue they have more value now than before because they can do more things.
the data that we can look at that I think shows, and you can let me know if you agree with this, if women, and under the imagination of the feminist umbrella, were really unhappy when they were in the home, and then entering the workforce has made women happier and infinitely feeling more secure about themselves, we could, I think, reasonably expect that there would have been a decrease in suicide rates amongst women.
Nothing she has said so far has demonstrated any kind of causal link between more freedom of any kind, whether it's sexual or more like career freedom or whatever, versus this decrease in happiness that she's speaking of. There's like studies maybe demonstrating a very vague correlation, but it is very, very up to interpretation as to how you come to those conclusions. Because as far as I'm aware from all the literature that we have, the more likely explanation for all of this kind of stuff is a myriad of different issues going on within the West, from rising costs, the cost of living continues to rise, jobs aren't paying you as much, you have rampant sexual harassment in the workforce, and all of these kinds of problems, especially a lot that are targeted towards women in a predominantly male-led society, is going to cause mental issues whether you like it or not. It has less to do with about freedom and more about the fact that life just kind of fucking sucks right now for a lot of people.
But we can't say, oh, these two things are happening at the same time. This caused this other thing.
Yes, that's right. But I do think that we can objectively say that women who are committing suicide rates more than they were in the 1950s, like it has actually increased marginally. That's not a sign that us entering the workforce suddenly made us
How
all
is
very
it
happy.
a cause of the workforce?
We're also
That is
binge
true.
drinking at a higher rate.
How's this
We're
cause
taking
of
opioids
entering
at a
the
higher rate?
How is this a cause of entering
Because
the
I think
workforce?
women are being
think?
put on a pathway aspirationally.
But you're gonna have to. You're saying you think this, right? But where?
Yes, that is a good point. She's really nailing her down on where is the causal link between what you're saying and the conclusions that we are seeing. Xena is doing really good at starting to hone in on that point. Candance Owens is saying a lot of shit, but she's not backing any of it up. And Xena's doing a really good job of pushing now.
Where's the cause? Like you're not substantiating the claim. You're saying this is what I think. I'm seeing two.
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by the
Oh
majority.
man, she got voted out right when she was doing good
Great
too.
job.
Fucking
Great
hell.
job.
I am fascinated by your claim that women have lost happiness since the sexual revolution, since the 1950s. Do you think that there is any tie to happiness and freedom and happiness and choice? Because since 1950s, since the sexual revolution, women have gotten exponentially more freedom and more choice. And for me, as a mother and as a woman, having the freedom to choose what I do, to make my own destiny, makes me infinitely more happy than, say, back before the sexual revolution when I couldn't get a bank account, couldn't get a home loan, couldn't work outside the home, couldn't travel around without a man, couldn't control my own reproduction. So I feel that
What she needs to do here with all these examples that she's listing is point at Candace and say, you would not be here right now being able to debate me and having a career on a big platform like Daily Wire. If you had what you wanted, you'd be in the household without a job, relying entirely on the income of your husband to survive.
Did you go to college?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Did you?
Yes, I did. So you have a degree.
Absolutely.
Now, when you went to college, did you go to college because it was simply something that you wanted to do, or did you think that I have to go to college because in order to get a job, I have to have a college degree?
I went to college for art because I was fascinated
Oh
with art.
God. Oh fuck. Candace is gonna tear her apart. Goddamn arts degree. Is
So
what I'm
you're
saying.
taking away choices doesn't make people happier. Taking
but
away
that-
freedom doesn't make people happier.
I'm disagreeing with you on the idea that people are feeling more free by financial pressure. I think financial
is
pressure
true.
makes people feel remarkably less free.
So you want no bank accounts again? Women not to have credit cards?
I'm
No
not
bank
saying that
accounts?
women shouldn't have access to credit cards or banking accounts. You're putting words in my mouth, so why don't you respond to the words that I'm saying?
Well, less financial pressure. If I don't
snap.
have a bank account, that's a lot less financial
what
pressure,
I'm
I guess,
saying is
right?
that financial
Oh,
pressure in
geez, this
terms
ain't
of
good.
most people that go to college, and I'm counting myself among them, it's because typically in order to get the job that you're being sold is going to make you infinitely happier and infinitely more free, it just requires a college degree. And most of these people, to be clear, have to put themselves, the majority of people have to put themselves into debt. And I don't think anybody would describe debt as a form of freedom, right?
That
I don't
is
think anybody
true.
would realistically say,
I mean, she's making an anti-capitalist argument right now. Why is she making this argument? Why isn't she a socialist then? Because like this is all because of capitalism, not the sexual revolution.
free.
So let's
I'm
let's
countering-
eliminate the debt.
Well,
Let's eliminate college debt.
let's-
Maybe we should have free college here in the
okay.
U.S. That sounds great.
So
Great idea, Candace.
now-
I love that idea. All right.
Okay.
Love it. Woo! Champion for the people.
Girl. Very nice.
All right, return.
I'm not sure how to feel about that. You do have some decent people on there. You had Xena, for example, on this panel, who I think was doing really good until she got voted out because everybody else is fucking stupid. Just as the typical Jubilee panel, they always vote people out the moment the actual one surrounded person ends up talking and brings up something that can be portrayed as a decent point. But most of the feminists on here so far, in the first section at least, the first 20 minutes, seem to fall to the same kind of issues that I've seen with progressives in general, which is they kind of talk past the conservative by not talking with their perspective at all. You had I think one or two people end up doing that, but then they end up starting to talk from their perspective again. You have the whole talking over Candace kind of thing, which is bad. You have the fact that this last lady with the hat ended up trying to strawman Candace, and while I think she has a point, I do think that Candace probably kind of leans toward the concept of women not having bank accounts and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily sure she's like the authoritarian type to force that, and she also didn't say that. So in this kind of setting, you can't just like force words into somebody's mouth flat out like that, especially with somebody who can be as sharp as Candace when it comes to rhetoric.
Is that no career will give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children.
I would think that's like statistically proven false. There's probably at least one career which can do that.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of your arguments today are very rooted in a sort of old school perspective. I have to be
that's
honest.
true.
Like, I think, and I'm not trying to be insulting whatsoever, I feel as though most people would identify that claim as pretty extreme and pretty like...
Children are extreme.
Well, no, that women would get more happiness inherently from raising kids than having a job or deciding what they want to do with their lives.
That is true.
Why is that? I'm just curious. Why would having children, which is just a natural biological conclusion, be something that sounds extreme?
I just said inherent.
Oh yeah, no. She's trying to backpedal already, and it's been less than like 5 seconds. Her prompt is no career will give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children. Not having children will make women feel fulfilled, period. She's already trying to backpedal this fast? Oh my God, dude, please grill her. I think it's called a Motte-Bailey fallacy, where you make an outrageous claim and then you just move it to a more defensible one, which she's trying to do right now. I guess she didn't prepare to be pushed back this quickly on this one.
I think because it speaks to natural order, and every piece of life, I think, is enriched by
You
children.
don't think it's natural for women to get to decide what they want to do with their lives?
I do not think that saying women can decide whether or not they want to go to work or have children is problematic. What I'm saying to you is that women will get the most fulfillment from having a family.
Because it's natural.
It's natural, but also children are wonderful and beautiful and spiritually divine creatures. I mean, they're amazing. There's everything about having a child. Yes, it's a lot of work. It's beautiful.
Okay, I hear that.
That is so fucking subjective. Like, that is not even just objectively true. Using the word divine especially, oh my gosh. She just spouted off a bunch of subjective views there. That is not objective. You have a lot of people who think children are gross and icky and never want to have anything to do with them. So yeah, that off to a great start so far, I guess.
I would choose my children over my best-selling book, and I was that little girl who had a dream that, like, oh, it would be really great if I could share my thoughts and ideas in a book, but it is utter insanity for me to reflect on that and say that I would have rather published Blackout than to have my 3 children.
But why is it rather? You see what I'm saying?
It's not rather. I'm just saying
Well, that's
that
your claim.
it will.
That's your claim,
No,
is that it's
Literally,
better.
it
will
is.
be
That's
more
oh man, this guy's doing good so far. I like him. He's nailing her down real good.
fulfilled.
Right.
Yes.
So rather.
Well, if it's an either or, if you're saying it's an either or, I'm just saying that if these two things have happened in your life, the thing that will bring you more spiritual fulfillment will be children. And so women who are neglecting that,
God, why are the fucking flags almost done raising? He's doing really good so far.
neglecting the pathway to, strive toward family because they think their career is going to hug them at night, or they think that when they're on their deathbed, their career is going to come up next to them and say, you were so great to me. I think that they've stepped into a delusion, and I'm hopeful that they wake up from it before it's too late.
All right, pause. Sorry.
I hate Jubilee so goddamn much, man. Oh my gosh. This is the one. This guy has been doing the best I've seen out of all the panelists so far, albeit we're only 25 minutes in. And they voted him out within like 3 minutes. He was holding her feet to the fire. He was doing really good putting that pressure on her. These people are idiots. What the fuck is up with the stupid flag system, man? Why are you voting these people out right now?
There's a lot of financial pressure that is being exerted on young women to enter the workforce, and they do so blindly under this illusion that somehow entering the workforce is going to make you more fulfilled, like getting yourself into 6 figures of debt going to college to then take on a career and be in debt and having to pay student loans while you make $35K is going to make you happier. And I'm saying that isn't actually true.
Okay, so I hear that.
Yeah.
At the same time, would you not agree that that women can both have a career and have children? I mean, you are actively doing that right now.
And I want to be
She got her on that one. Let's go.
very clear because I'm actively doing it right now. I would be someone that you would call an exception because I get to work from home. I get to wake up in
Oh,
the
so
morning.
you get to be the exception. Oh my gosh, please. Rules for thee, but not for me. Kind of shit here. Great. Thanks, Candace.
I don't have a boss, right? I don't have to go into the office from 9 to 5. I get to then therefore spend the entire morning with my children.
You're an exception, and the 47% of women that make up our labor force are also an exception?
No, the exact opposite. So I'm trying to make it more realistic because I think it's really bad form when people who are able to stay at home, right, and are able to start working at 1:00 p.m. as I do after being around their children. The children are running around all day. Will then preach to you that every woman can have this. That's not the reality. The reality is that the overwhelming majority of people are stuck behind a desk all day and they're not happy. They're not doing work that gratifies them at all. And at the same time, they're suspending.
Well, that's just what career you've chosen, but I think that
Here's the thing as well, right? We're at a point in this capitalist economy where you need 2 incomes to be able to support a household. At this point, part of the reason why women are joining the workforce is most likely the fact that one husband cannot raise a family of 4 alone anymore. That's just not viable for a lot of people.
million women in this country over. How can you say that you know exactly what every woman secretly wants? Are you asking them?
That wasn't my claim that I secretly know what every single woman wants.
That's literally what your claim is, though. No career will give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children. That means you know what they want. Oh my God. That's literally what it means.
Average cost of raising a child a year is around $21,000 or more. So my issue is, are you saying that women should just suddenly stop working and now the onus is entirely on men? Like, the society that you're pitching is not sustainable economically.
It was sustained economically.
But it's not right
All
now.
right, pause.
currently.
Naima, you've been voted out by the majority.
Why do they keep voting out the cool people? Naima was doing great. The other guy before her was also doing great, and they just get voted out.
Hi, I'm Ceci.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Ceci.
So your claim is that women will be happier at home. I think you're conflating, though, happiness with importance, because I get what you're saying, where a woman can write a book and have kids, but the kids are always going to make her happier. But I think it just means that kids are always going to be more important, not necessarily make you happier. But also, piggybacking on Naima, we don't live in an economy where people typically can have a 1-income household.
Right.
I do like she piggybacked off of Naima because Naima brought up a great point about that. We don't live in an economy which can even allow what Candace wants.
You will be infinitely more fulfilled at the end of the day by raising your children than you will be if you come home and you say, wow, I really crushed it dyeing somebody's hair today. what is it exactly that makes you angry about hearing that? Like that's what I'm actually trying.
Nothing makes
I'm
me
trying
angry.
to get.
No,
I'm trying to get to the. I'm trying to get to the implicit revolution.
That's the thing
Okay,
is that
shouldn't
no
talk
one
for
is
someone
angry.
mentions children.
Oh,
No,
great.
see, no one's angry when you mention children. I get angry, I guess, when you mention that someone should have a children, or you're trying to impose a lifestyle onto people that you want to live, which I think is kind of funny because as someone who's anti-feminism, you practice it more than most women do. I mean, every time you get on your podcast, every time you collect a check, you're practicing feminism.
Okay, that's
Damn.
No, that's what it is. Because
Actually-
without feminism, you wouldn't be able to exist.
Yeah, people keep saying. I hate when people say that.
But it's just the
it
truth.
just shows that you haven't done the research to even understand where the
Or you
feminism
don't know
came from,
history.
which was discovered. That's what I'm saying about you, because it means that you don't understand that a bunch of government officials in the CIA funded the feminist movement. So for all of
But that doesn't matter, man. You're still practicing feminism. Oh no. Cece, get her ass. Cece is cooking here. We've had 3 amazing debaters so far. And there's already flags raised. Of course there fucking are. Even though she's doing great.
We should talk about men more. Like you brought up suicide, they're 4 times more likely to kill
Get her,
themselves. Which is why.
Cece.
And while women, we're twice as more often on antidepressants, but that's because we go out and do what we need to do to keep coping.
Because we're not happy.
And we need to focus on men and the patriarchy because it's actually oppressed them just as much as women now emotionally, right?
I don't like the term patriarchy, but she is absolutely completely correct here.
It's weird to me and college-educated women are least likely to get divorced, and they're the only women, the top 10% of women are the only women whose marriage rates are going up. So they're getting married, they're staying married, and their kids are doing better. When you look at stay-at-home mothers, you see that they're more likely to report being depressed, they're more likely to report having anxiety and anger and all these types of things. So how can you say that? Seems like a woman, if you want to get married and have kids, you should go to college and have a career.
So it sounds to me like we are looking at totally different statistics, because everything that you said, I've actually read the exact opposite.
I'm glad we're on a fact check show with you.
Right, exactly.
Oh, it's so exciting.
That's going to be amazing. Okay, because I know,
That
like I
is
said, I
gnarly.
think what we're talking about is that there was this widespread report on female happiness, and I know that it was formally debunked, and it was.
That's not what I'm talking about. Pew Research,
Right,
University of
okay.
California. In fact, working mothers today spend more time with their children than women did in the 1960s that were at home.
Okay, well, women that are at home are obviously spending more time with their children than the people who are at work.
And their
today.
children are not faring off any better, and they're faring off worse.
How are you measuring their children faring off worse?
How likely they are to higher incomes, better scores, fewer health problems, fewer behavioral issues, and better mental.
So the just to get back to the claim
I like this Jasmine girl already. Holy fuck, she came prepared.
I'm making here is that it is obvious that women who have children are going to be more fulfilled.
How is
right?
that obvious? Because you said that?
No, it's not obvious because I
She
said
got her there. Holy fuck, man. This really has been a case of because I said so with Candance so far. She really hasn't said anything of substance to prove any kind of causal link between having children and fulfillment from having children versus fulfillment from having a career.
Jane, they're suffering from more anxiety, and
That's not true.
okay, it is true. It is actually true that women who are choosing their careers over starting families are finding themselves leaning more onto medicines like Xanax, anxiety-inducing medicines, and depression because they suspended that time frame where women really should be looking to find a partner and to start a family.
You haven't provided a causal link between that, though. There's a bazillion other things that can explain why they're taking antidepressants when they're going to college, of all things, where you have all these frat parties, you have all of this roofing going on, you have all of this regretful sex and stuff going on, you have debt and all of this shit going on. There are so many things that take place in college and the workforce that can cause women to become depressed, not only women, but men as well, that Candance won't take into account because it will completely fly in the face of any of her talking points that she wants to spew. There is no link between anything she's saying whatsoever. She takes a data point and then twists it with her own conclusion with no kind of link between the data and her conclusion whatsoever. It is absolutely ridiculous.
We don't even measure success the same. Men and women don't even measure success the same.
So,
okay?
but tell me how the women who are working and getting educated, why are they faring off better in all of these?
I am telling you that I do not believe they are faring off better in all of these measures.
And what,
I do
and
not.
you're
I
doing
do.
that because of what?
I am telling you that we are looking at totally opposite statistics. Like, so you're sitting here telling me that the statistics show that women who are working are producing better children, but I am saying that women that grow up in a two-family home where the mother stays at home are faring off better than the children who are being raised in an environment
Where the
both
women
of
are
parents,
working?
where both of the parents are
So why
working
don't
in
you
a way away
stay
from the
home.
home. I do get to work from home.
No. But
that's the irony.
I've
That's why
watched your
I said
show. You
I'm
talk about all the
actually-
nannies you hire, and it's so hard
I
to find
have
a nanny.
talked about all of the nannies I hire.
Yeah,
but
you have.
I spoke about how difficult it was to find a babysitter who knew how to cook a meal, and that's
Well,
because
you don't need a babysitter. You're already. You could retire right
You have
now.
to let people respond to you when they're speaking.
You don't want
She
to.
has a
to respond
point.
to you when
No,
I
you
speak.
don't want to. You want to be working, which is great.
You're telling me what I want now and then accusing me of telling you.
Wait, are you? You
No,
don't want to work?
look at
You
what
just let
you're
me
doing, dumbass. What the fuck? For this though.
Because you've said so many words that what you're trying to do here, like your argument style, is I'm going to say so much and not let her get a word in, and then walk away and feel like I've won.
get your word in.
We're not having a conversation because you've not letting me respond to
Go
either
for
one
it.
of you.
I agree to a certain extent, but at the same time, you're starting to try to pivot to other things and try to get away from the point that she's drilling you on, and doing a pretty good job at that. Good job, Jasmine, even though I do disagree. I do agree with Candace's critiques a little bit, especially with the fucking flag system. I forgot. That's also probably a contributing factor as to why she's doing that as well. She's probably going to get voted out in like less than 2 minutes.
Points. Okay. What I am saying to you, first to answer what you just said, which was a lie, what I spoke to you about on the weekends is that it's been increasingly difficult to find a 25-year-old who even knows how to make boxed macaroni and cheese, right? And that's crazy. That is in large part due to feminism. Women don't even focus. Women don't even focus. Like there's this idea that women shouldn't be cooking. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with women even learning how to cook.
Are you,
you know what I
spending
mean?
as much time with your children as you possibly can? Because that's the way to get the most fulfillment.
No, and that's what I'm trying to say. I am speaking to you
So
as
then stop.
Okay, could you please let somebody get in
I
a
did.
word
I didn't let you
edgewise? You're
finish.
not.
I
You
did.
actually have not let
I
anybody
have.
finish.
I
And like I
absolutely-
said,
Wow, Candace, holy fuck. Jasmine's doing really fucking good so far, I'm not gonna lie. Do I agree that she should probably interject a little bit less? Yes, but this also isn't a formal debate. She's running on a timer and has to satisfy all of the morons surrounding her. And she's doing a good job so far, especially given the format. She's making Candace fucking start to sputter out. The little hamster wheel in her head is starting to run out of juice. And she's nailing her down on some good points, like fulfill your dream. You don't get enough time with your kids? Stop doing what you're doing now and go home and spend the rest of your life with them, dummy.
is that you have an attitude and you
Okay, can
believe
you
in
address the
feminism,
point now?
but you're not. See, that's what I'm saying. You just have an attitude, and it's not
Trying
cute.
to-
It's performative.
I'd love if
I'm
you
actually
address my point. I will be quiet if
Has
you address
anybody-
my point.
Does anybody actually feel here that I am being allowed to address any of her points when she just
Yes,
keeps running
yes.
over me? Like, I'm literally trying to answer
Everybody
your
said yes.
first point of you saying that I don't stay at home.
Oh,
Fair point.
Really weird. Yeah.
Fair point. Obviously, I
yeah,
get
that
you're-
is true. Oh my god.
You find is women, they don't want to stay at home when you pull them. They just want flexible working hours and flexible working conditions like you have. And I think we should all advocate for that. It's not one or the other. But when you sit here and you go, you'll be more fulfilled doing this and spend all your time doing
Yes.
that, we would love for you to leave the public eye and go focus on what makes you fulfilled.
Okay.
Damn, Jasmine. I like her fiery attitude. Holy fuck. Personally, how Jasmine is arguing right out of the conservative playbook, and I'm not saying that's like a bad thing. This is what Candace and Shabibo and Kirk do. That is exactly true, Peach Girl. This is literally what they do to other people. She put Candace on the defensive, and she doesn't like that. Exactly, yeah. Candace, whenever she talked, the reason why Jasmine interjected was because Candace was trying to dodge her point. Jasmine was holding her feet to the fire too well on that, and it made Candace shut down for like a solid 2 minutes complaining about how she won't be able to talk. But it's because she's not addressing the point.
My next claim is that we live under a matriarchy, not a patriarchy.
We live under a matriarchy? We live under a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. Who the fuck is running the government right now? This is so stupid, man. Oh man, we're gonna get into the really fucking fun parts now, aren't we? Oh no. No way she fucking believes that bullshit, man. Holy fuck. Ah, we live under a matriarchy. Oh. This is gonna be a long section.
Hi,
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Princella, the Queen Maker.
I love that.
Princella, the Queen
you
Maker.
said
I
you
like
live
that.
in a matriarchy.
Right.
Can you give me the definition of patriarchy?
Yes. Well, the patriarchy is the idea that the system, our system in America, is being run by men, and that women are having to exist under a system that immediately disadvantages them because men are behind it. And I disagree.
What do you think we live under right now, Candace?
Agree with that pointedly. I think actually we're living in a society where people are being very much influenced socially and politically by women.
Okay, so
Oh, God. What fucking world does this chick live in, man?
So the denotative definition of patriarchy is father rule, and where positions of government are held majorly by men, where women are largely excluded.
I like her voice.
So 125 House of Representatives are female, and that's only about 25%.
Damn, she brought up the statistic. Princella, the Queen Smasher. Let's go.
About 28% make up Senate, and 3.3% of Congress up until this date have ever been women. So by denotative definition, we literally live in a patriarchy.
Yes.
Literally, yeah. Let's go.
I disagree with that. So I think what this gets to,
You
which is
Oh my God. You disagree with that? What is there to disagree with? Oh God. Oh God. I'm gonna fucking go Joey Bartizoli on this bitch. Oh no.
Use your brain! Use your brain! The thing in your head, use it! Fucking idiot!
women have shown that they have a lot more power than men have. And I'm talking about just in terms of political movements. The most recent I can think of is the Me Too movement, right?
The Me Too movement is like fucking dead right now. What do you mean? It lasted like 3 years and everybody forgot about it. I haven't heard of the Me Too movement since like 2019. What are you talking about? This is rough. We're finally going into the brain rot zone.
A bunch of women get together and complain about a man and refer to the patriarchy and scream. Generally speaking, let me know if you agree, the media will celebrate that. If a bunch of men got together and were shrieking and speaking about women, generally speaking, the media would call them all white.
Who gives a fuck about the media? Like, that's literally the best talking point conservatives have when it comes to anything. Oh, the media supports progressivism. Oh, the media supports this. Oh, the media supports that. Who cares what the media thinks? Just shut off the TV, dummy. What matters is who is controlling the government, the policies that directly impact you, not whatever the dummy on TV is saying about the latest progressive trend. Oh, wow, Jimmy Fallon loves queer people or whatever.
Are women allowed to vote?
Oh, of course they are.
Who's voting that patriarchy and then, out of curiosity?
No, I totally agree. And you want to know why? Because there are so many women who think like you. You submit to the idea of men ruling everything. And your ideology is spread across a lot of women who also falsely believe to vote against their own interests just to complain about it in the end. You know, earlier you said that, you know, women would be much more happier working at home. But don't you agree that it's human nature to want things that you don't have? Mm-hmm. So during the 1950s, which...
That is all true. She is going off so well. And she's coming across very well-mannered, too. So she has that strength over Jasmine as well. So Candace really doesn't have much room to really push back here. She's straight up just denying material reality at this point. It is objective fact that men basically control the economy. There are so many more male CEOs and corporate elitists over women in those positions of power. You have more government officials who are men than women by a country mile. Like, there's no way you could possibly twist this into having America turn into a matriarchy. It's just illogical on its very face.
We're not dealing with educated people. Lack of education is the cause for what we see in the world. And if we educate the women better, because a nation can rise no higher than its woman, and if she reading and comprehending at a 6th grade level and popping out a lot of kids, you know, because the brokest people in the world pop out the most kids. So if we have those people voting, of course they're going to vote against their interests because they're voting for some utopian society that will never exist.
Okay, so that's why you think Kamala lost.
This ain't even about Kamala.
Because you're talking about
What the fuck? Oh my God, what does that have to do with the prompt? The prompt is we live under a matriarchy, not a patriarchy, and she's just bringing up Kamala Harris. That's kind of part of the point, isn't it? We don't even have a woman president, and we've never had a woman president. That goes completely against her point.
The majority of overwhelming people that are in prison are male, right? There's a reason for that. So when it manifests in a good way, that male aggression, is the reason why we have men defending us, men that are willing to go to war and die for our nation. So aggression being an aspect of masculinity has nothing to do with the conversation of whether or not feminism is harming women today.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that
We agree.
women are biologically different.
Yes,
and men
but
are.
what I want you to connect it to is, I guess, power. Because what I'm talking about when I say that we're existing under a matriarchy is that I believe that the social pressures politically and socially that are coming, and even within our music, if we talk about Hollywood, it's very much
That
has
power means
become
nothing. Like, just because, like,
That is not what a matriarchy is, though. Matriarchy is not when women have more social power. God damn, man. I don't know who the fuck defines it that way. That's ridiculous.
who was on the top music charts or whatever are women. Okay, how many women have paid maternity leave?
Okay, that's not
like how are things panning out in the family courts? Why are abusive men having access?
What's her name here is completely right. She's bringing up all of these relevant statistics that show that women have like a disadvantage in a lot of ways, including statistics about like sexual violence and stuff like that, because there is more than just killing and beating people up, Candace. Sexual violence is a serious issue by far here.
Can we go back to the bail bonds question?
Yes.
Why does our country not persecute men then who are rapists?
Well, the majority of people who are in prison are men, so I don't
That's
know.
a complete non sequitur. Just because the majority of prisoners are men does not mean that rapists are being charged properly. A lot of rapists are not in prison. That's a complete non sequitur. It makes no logical sense.
Women are overwhelmingly the victims of sexual violence and domestic abuse. So that doesn't seem like a very well-designed matriarchy where women are victims or, lacking power in so many different realms of society on like a structural level.
I just do not think that women are lacking power on a structural level because they can't, which they can, by the way, abort their children. Is that like one of your components? Is that
There's many states where abortion is illegal. Do you dispute that?
I am going to dispute that having a child is somehow something that restricts women in any capacity. Like you're
What
saying
about the
that.
ability to decide what you do with your own body?
I don't.
What the fuck do you mean? Not having the ability to abort your child is literally restricting them.
Saying that that fetus that has no capacity to be conscious, aware, anything else, should have the same rights, same bodily autonomy as a woman, that is an obvious, you're making my point for me. That
You're actually making a point that people who are, are born with tremendous disabilities should just be killed because of cognitive
I'm
functions
sorry,
and
I don't
ability.
remember saying that. When did I say that?
The best argument, which again, this is sidetracked.
You're saying that
Let's get back on track.
Kill people with disabilities?
What I'm saying that if you're saying, no, I am saying that if you're saying that it's cognitive ability and at what stage
ability
you
to
think.
be conscious, and just so we're clear, disabled people are conscious. They're aware.
Okay.
That is true.
So the best argument that it is a life is the fact that you have to kill it. You have to have a procedure to kill it, right? So you have to intervene on the
How
development.
can you kill something that isn't alive or has never had consciousness, Candace?
So what you're saying is the solution didn't work and it actually produced more problems. And now we have more problems and we need more governance to be able to tackle these problems. So you're
any
like,
system that's
we need the
forcing
government-
women to make certain decisions, I just wouldn't
It's
call
not
that
forcing
feminism
women
to
to
begin
make-
with.
it's not
Women should have the
forcing-
option to choose, do I want to be a stay-at-home mom? Do I want to work? Do I have some
What
mix
does
of
that all
both?
have to
That's
do
the
with
entire
this
point.
being
But you are also
matriarchy or
making an
not?
argument that if you are a woman who does run a business and does have employees, that they should be forced to pay them maternity leave.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let me
That's
tell
like
you-
saying taxes are forced. Yeah, there's certain things the government does to regulate our economy to ensure equality and justice and better outcomes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but just so you know, when you do that, like to a small business
every
owner,
other developed country does.
what you are arguing for is supporting big corporations and taking out the little guys because
I'm arguing for.
Small businesses exist in Europe, right? And they do have maternity leave in a lot of the countries there, I believe. If what you were saying was true, monopolies would be dominating Europe right now. Because they do have maternity leave, but all the little businesses know how to survive.
you can't say that we can't get down to the economics of what it actually implies, right?
I have an economics degree, and I can tell you if there's a small business that can't afford to pay maternity leave, the government would probably subsidize them and help cover the costs.
Where is the government getting money from? This is
tax revenue.
Right, exactly. So from us, just to be clear.
Yeah, welcome to the government, bitch. They need taxes to be able to function. Not saying that's a good thing, obviously, but that's how the government functions. You think they can run with no money or something like that, goofball? You fucking troglodyte, you fucking homunculus. Ah! It's part of the reason I'm an anarchist, but still, that's how the government functions. And they do give subsidies to companies and stuff like that. They give it all to big corporations though, because big corporations pay them off. Even though from a more pragmatic and beneficial perspective for the economy, they should be giving it to little guys, because little guys make up a lot of the economy too, but they don't.
And this is the thing that gets me about all of these debates.
Yeah.
The magic solution that everybody has is that we just need to tax the government more.
Every other developed country has paid maternity leave.
But it's not magic as in like the
Guess we
money
should go to
is
these
coming.
magical countries.
The money is coming from you. It's coming from us. So you're sitting
Yes,
here
that's
saying,
how
Welcome to the government.
Taxes work.
yes,
Yeah, like,
we should be raising taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the entire problem is that the government is already taxing homes times 2, and people
Sure.
are already struggling with what's being taken
She
out
won't
of
address the point about all other developed countries having maternity leave and all of these programs, by the way. She's completely dodging that point by far. He really needs to hammer that home to be able to get her to crack.
Great, you love feminism. That's great. We already know that.
yeah,
We get it.
most Americans agree with me, by the way.
Actually,
like women should have paid
I
maternity
think
leave.
culture
If you go
is
issue by
changing.
issue and by values, they might not associate with the term feminism because people like you have made it toxic. But the actual values that undergird feminism
you will move
are
the
extremely
goalposts,
popular.
and then when they begin taxing so that we can account for paid maternity leave for 3 months, which basically means a small business owner has to not have an employee while having to pay months and months and months. Like the person's not there. They're not actually.
Small business doesn't have the revenue to cover paid maternity leave. The government would probably subsidize them to make up the cost.
No,
They literally do that already for fucking corporations. They'll subsidize them for the most retarded reasons, Candace. Why can't they do that for the little guy?
actually think that the way things were made more sense, where we had an environment where you could afford to take care of children with just one person bringing in income in the house.
Is that possible in the current environment?
You can obviously...
When things are going to get way more expensive with these tariffs as well? Like, it's not going to be easy to afford
Literally,
anything in the coming
yeah.
years.
Is it going to happen
Get her
overnight?
ass.
No, but I think we need to be realistic about the fact that the first thing didn't work, right? The entire
What is the first
argument,
thing?
the first thing was women entering the workforce is going to make everybody happier and richer. That was the
The idea is that women having the
plan.
choice to enter the workforce is better than them being forced to not do that.
Okay.
That's the argument.
Okay, that actually is not the argument at all. The argument was that women would become,
sir.
and I'm talking about what the feminists got ahead of, and
You
this
can
is why
debate
women
like
women
this
need to be
imaginary
like
Twitter
men.
feminist, but like
It's
right now you're
not-
talking to me, and
it's
that's not the argument.
I'm not actually debating an
Let's go.
imaginary Twitter feminist. I'm speaking to you, and I have no
Right.
idea why you're becoming increasingly more rude when I'm just rebutting your
What
point.
do you mean he's becoming increasingly more rude? He's been super civil up to this point.
What we
Right.
actually need is for women to just enter the workforce. Oh, women are in the workforce, and actually
not
we have-
enough. I'm saying we don't have enough
okay.
because we don't
and
have
I'm
paid
telling you
maternity
that you're also not going to have enough because you're going to then be complaining when you get that paid maternity leave.
I'm not
because
gonna
you're,
get maternity
you're okay. Well, they are arguing for
Yeah. Does he look like he's gonna get maternity leave, Goofy? Oh.
family paid leave. So
That's even better, yeah.
okay,
I
so
love that.
you might get.
Do you think
might
fathers
get
should also
maternity
be around to
All
help
right,
raise
guys,
children?
pause.
I think
Years?
who's going to work if everybody goes home every time a child is
Not
born?
everyone's going to have a kid at the
Pause,
same time.
guys. Pause. All right.
Everyone will have a male partner.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
And we're going to be ending the video right there. The full unedited cut where I react to the entire thing is going to be for YouTube members. So if you want to see that, alongside with all my other fully uncut debate breakdowns, you can absolutely go check that out and join the YouTube members there. Holy crap, this was actually really hard to get through just since it was recorded at like 10 p.m. at night and I was very mentally exhausted. A lot of the panelists on there really did pretty good. A couple of them, especially in the beginning, weren't necessarily that strong, but Candance really showed how unprepared she is for a lot of these kinds of arguments and stuff like that, especially when it came to these people who honestly seemed pretty well versed in what she was about to say. Make sure to check out my Patreon and Ko-Fi down in the links below. Possibly even check out my personal trainer website because I am a personal trainer and I also do plan to put out fitness content relatively soon. If you want to be able to get into shape or shave off a few extra pounds for the summer since it's summertime and all that kind of stuff, definitely schedule a consultation with me. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to say, so I guess I'll just see you guys in the next video.